All right. Welcome. So I think this is our first podcast to kind of highlight our team and who we are, which could be good or bad. So I have been now in the industry for 15 plus years. Stop, you look so young.
Oh, yeah.
The old man of the industry.
Can't believe it.
That touch of gray is very
So yeah, I guess kind of just introduce ourselves, talk about our team, kind of what we're seeing happening in the industry and stuff. So I thought it was a good idea. We can kind of sit down, round table, and kind of showcase our personalities, good or bad.
Oh, man.
Right? Wayners, what's happening with you?
As your partner, I've been in the industry slightly shorter than you.
Define partner.
Well,
Define partner.
you're my heterosexual life mate.
Nice.
So, yeah, I've been in the business 13 years, almost as long as you. I have a finance background.
Nice.
So I do more of the analytics on the team, and you're more of the pushy sales guy. So
Wow.
right.
That stung a bit. That stung a bit.
Yeah. Compared to you two, I'm pretty boring. I've been with the team, I'm going to say 5 years. I have a background working with people in a variety of different areas. And so this was the next move, which is kind of nice, in real estate. So just because I'm nosy, that was how this all got started. Love seeing other people's homes,
Right.
and the fact that I've worked with people over the years. I blended those two.
And you did like social work before, right? Which
Yes.
kind of ties into.
Yeah, I'm the social worker of
Right.
the group.
Right.
Yeah, keep you guys.
You keep us in check.
I got to do that.
Nice. Okay. Veronica.
Well, I started in 2017, I think, November. No? And my background, I was a freelancer. That's how I moved to Canada. That's how I got the job here.
What were you?
Freelancer.
What were you freelancing?
Freelancer.
I used to work with companies that sell, at that time, the audio conference. So
Okay.
it was conference for companies, only companies, and it was like maybe 250 people in a phone call. So I used to sell that to the people and then train the companies to do it. But the company was Canadian, and we were selling to Mexico. So that's why I got hired.
Nice.
For my brain, for my beautiful
Sounds
brain.
so exciting.
So exciting.
So exciting.
But that allowed me to be with my kids, and
Right.
then when I didn't have anywhere to move up in the company, then I decided to move to
Work
real
for
estate.
yourself.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Nice.
And I'm happy. I think I was like all the time in my house, and that avoids like social interaction with people, and this really helped me again to be outside.
To get out of that sort of comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally. So, you guys have been doing some stuff kind of on the side, and obviously we're a diverse. Can we say diverse background?
Oh,
Right.
look at us. Look at
Is
us.
that politically correct? Yeah. So I think like that's what kind of makes us unique is because obviously we come from different backgrounds, different walks of life. What do you guys see? I don't want to say in your communities, but what do you guys see? I know you're doing different charities and stuff, like Diana, for example. We had some charities last year with like FACE, for example, which is really good, and that was in Africa. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about FACE. FACE is a foundation for African children education, and it was started several years ago by a friend of ours who's from Ghana. And so my husband sits on the committee, and I am one of the helpers, so to speak. And what we do is every year we have a fundraiser to sponsor children, underprivileged children, who, if it had not been for the sponsorship, would not be able to attend school. Wow. And we start from primary level. And we've actually seen 2 young kids who have now gone through, who become young adults and have completed university during this process.
That's amazing, huh?
And so for a mere about $150 to sponsor a child, you can equip them for the year with school books, uniform, shoes, and other things that they need to go through the school year. So that's been really, really great. Haven't had the opportunity to go to Ghana yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that in the very near
So
future.
a price of a cup of coffee a day is essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, just about. Yeah. I also am involved with an organization, Eyes for the World.
Right.
And that's with a foundation, a Canadian foundation, that goes to underdeveloped country to help people in terms of the basics that we have here and take for granted in having, taking care of their eyesight, being able to see an eye doctor, being able to get reading glasses. And one of the top eye surgeon in Canada, in Vancouver, also sits on this committee. So that's also
Nice.
a very interesting adventure, so to speak. But we're able to help people.
So noble, Diana.
It is noble.
I try.
Well, I think like
At
for
least one in the team.
right? Well, I think for us, like for real estate in general, and I think for us, especially like Wayne and I, the last couple of years, like we've been quite fortunate, right? Like the market's been really busy. We've done well, so it's nice that there's options to give back, and I think that's part of when you're in those positions that you should be able to do those things.
Don't sell yourself short, though, Vero. And you're doing a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So you
Lots.
were not Mexican of the year. That seems off.
No.
That seems off.
Female Mexican? How more specific
You're-
do you want to
Latin
But you want to say
woman.
Latin woman of the year? Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, and that was that last year that you got that award?
December.
Right.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
So what does that entail? Latin woman of the year.
Well, everything started because I am part of a non-profit organization
Right.
that helps the Latin community. So I'm part of the board. I'm the vice president.
Right. Wow.
And
Vice
then
president.
we help business because people here don't think or don't understand the way that they can do business, and it's so easy, and they try to do it with the same background and only cash thing. And then we try to make them to do their business proper, register, everything that they have to do to start being successful. And then on top of that, we do markets. So every 3 months, we do markets. We charge just for the rent of the place, and we do all the organization, all the promotion, and then we try for them to have more exposure, not to the Latin community, but to other communities, so they can start thriving in their business. And not only is food or things like that, it's like artisanal products that are made from artisans in our countries. So
That's pretty
Did
good.
you hear her when she say that? Like she says, artisan.
Yeah.
And it sounds so.
It sounds fancier.
Right?
Like when you have the accent,
Right?
it sounds
Yeah.
fancier.
Yeah. So
If I say
can
artisan,
you try
Do I
that in
have an
French, Ryan?
accent?
not like very minimal.
barely
Like,
notice it.
Barely notice it.
But you're saying things sound better when you have an accent?
It does. Well,
Fried rice?
let's not go down that road, but
Fried
the,
rice?
the Latin accent does sound better.
It does. It does. It's
And,
definitely
and
sexier, for
like
sure.
Spanish, right? The language of Latin. Is that right?
Right, okay.
Yeah.
That is like one of the more attractive languages, right? Can we say?
Okay.
Can we say that?
Sure.
It sounds more attractive.
All right.
Right?
Yeah, I heard French was
Yeah,
the language of
and that's
love.
part of my background.
And I'm-
I barely speak English, but French people too. I think, it just sounds more like
Well,
You
it
know?
comes with Latin too.
like say a sentence like I'm going for a walk or I don't know.
Voy a ir a caminar.
I mean,
Right?
right
Exactly.
off right off the bat.
Can you say that?
I have no way to
Cantonese?
verify
I
that.
didn't say it in
but that's-
Jamaican. Right about now.
He's been watching a lot of
Definitely edit that.
Chinese Jamaican
Right.
videos lately,
Right.
and he
Ah,
keeps
man.
sending them to me.
Right.
So yeah, but
But on that note, so like with new immigrants and not just Mexicans or Latins, like where are they finding resources to kind of connect? Because Vancouver's kind of snobby. Can we say that? Is Vancouver snobby?
Sure.
Like
Agreed.
I've been here all my
I live
life.
in Toronto.
You live in
and-
Toronto.
Yeah.
But I feel like Vancouver to meet new people because I've lived here my whole life. Like I have the same friends from like elementary school.
Ditto. Yeah.
Right?
Same
So
thing.
I feel like it's hard to connect with other people because there's already like these pockets and these cliques of people. So as new immigrants, like where do you go to meet other people? Like when you came here and stuff, did you have resources or how did you connect with other people?
Not really. When I came here, my sister was here, so that made my
Okay,
life a little bit
yeah.
easier. But I think we find each other. Like I think cultures find each other.
Right.
Like I always like to do volunteer stuff. So I used to go to the consulate and help. And one day I was a security for a concert. So things like that. And then you start meeting people. But like in ways of helping you, I think there are several organizations that can really help you.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
went once together to ISS.
ISS, is one of the
So,
organizations.
with
locally.
women, they were helping women that just came to Canada. So I think you can find some place like big organizations that can help.
Yeah.
Another one is Mosaic. But
Mosaic.
depends. Depends.
Mosaic I've heard of, yeah.
And there's
yeah.
one in Surrey, Delta Immigrant Services.
Depends what you're looking for.
Yeah. There are programs, but
Yeah.
I think, meeting, it's funny because I go to Toronto and people say who visited Vancouver that Vancouverites are very, very friendly compared to Toronto. Like people will say hi to you.
Polite.
Blah, blah,
I think
blah.
the initial, it's the initial highs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think if you try to get in with like a certain
Yes.
group and stuff, I find it's different vibe.
Well, anybody that moves to like the greater Vancouver area, I always tell them, and then even BC in general, I tell them that, you know, you better pick up an outdoor hobby or sports in general, because I mean, the West Coast lifestyle up here is we're very active. Hikes,
Right.
sports, especially outdoor sports, right? Swimming, mountain sports, like all that
Yeah.
stuff, right? Like you're seeing that, and if you get into those hobby groups, you can probably meet a lot more people as well. If you're a little bit more introverted and you like to stay at home, Vancouver's probably not the best place to stay.
Right.
But
Agree.
Oh.
yeah, getting into those outdoor activities and sports, that's probably what I would suggest for people coming into.
Right.
That's one thing that I did, for example. I used to coach my kids. So I volunteered
Okay.
for football.
Yeah, that's a good.
And I volunteer and I coach Sebastian for like 5 years.
Football.
Football.
Soccer.
If Prince hears you, it's football. Let's don't go there.
I was just checking. Yeah.
But that's good. Yeah, sports is a good way to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not very athletic, so my kids aren't in sports. But I think when I played soccer as a kid, off topic, they kind of just not asked me to leave, but like the ball would not come in my direction. So
Right.
it was just like you're there, right? But don't like kick the ball to
Yeah,
him.
they couldn't put you as goalie because you're
Definitely
afraid
not
of the
goalie.
ball, right?
I think I actually did run away from the ball
Yeah, I
as
know.
the goalie.
I can see that.
And then for some reason, my dad put like sandwich bags on my feet, like when it was like winter time, so you wouldn't get cold.
Right.
It was traumatizing, but I can see to connect with people, sports is the way to go.
I mean, you can go for a hike. I mean,
Yeah, hikes and stuff too.
Yeah, right?
You
You
can
can go
connect
for a
with.
walk, right?
Yeah,
And it's
He's
not-
been
not just
riding
limited.
bikes
Yeah,
lately.
yeah.
You've been bike riding.
I am riding the bike.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a dinger for my. Is that what it's called? A bell for my bike.
But I think it's difficult because
the dinger.
Dinger. Is it a dinger
I don't know.
or a bell?
well,
No, because you know what's weird?
A
Like
dinger, all right.
Vancouver, you're not
I
supposed
didn't
to
know where
ride.
you were
You're
going
not
with
supposed to ride on the sidewalks with the bike, right?
no.
Okay, so the drivers in Vancouver. No offense, right? In general, I'm not a great driver.
Why would anybody be offended? A driver in
I
Vancouver?
wasn't pointing to you.
All right, okay.
My eyes is like generally like I'm just looking around in general.
Right.
But-
Asian and female.
Yeah.
Fit the chemical.
Right?
Whoa,
Is that-
whoa, whoa, whoa,
Well,
wait,
I'm not a great
no.
driver. You
are the worst
I'm a
driver.
horrible
No.
driver. Let's not go down that road. But no, I didn't know that you're not supposed to ride on the sidewalks with your bike. But like where I live, like in Champlain, like it's super busy and the drivers are like super aggressive. So I don't feel comfortable some of the road spots.
Yeah.
So I
get
go
off
on the
road.
sidewalk, right? And then I say like, watch out or whatever, right? And then people are like, oh, you know there's a road. I'm like, yeah, not stupid. I realize there's a road. I just want to be hit by the car.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to get a dinger or a bell.
A bell.
And then it's like,
Now, how's that going to help you?
because that's the appropriate bicycle language.
Etiquette, you mean?
Etiquette.
Like you just get
Like
pedestrians, get out of the
Yeah.
way, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you should just really learn how to ride the bike first.
Right.
So you
But
get
the road is
comfortable
scary
with it.
though. The
It
road is
sure
scary.
So don't ride the bike. Don't use it as
Then
a
go
road.
to
No,
a
no.
park?
He's
No, well, I
hoping
go
to meet
to the
clients
trails and
that
stuff,
way.
but it's like sometimes like 54th is busy, so I go on the sidewalk for like one section, so I
Right.
don't die.
Okay.
He's hoping to meet clients that way.
Yeah,
Maybe.
by running
He,
in front of
he
moving
will
vehicles.
do anything
That's how
but
you do
knock
it.
doors.
If you get hit by a car,
Right?
If he gets
if
hit
I
by
get
a
hit by a car,
Yeah.
then I would say, look, I'm not going to sue you.
Buy a house
but
from
do you
me?
do you have a home to sell
Yes,
first?
there you
First
go.
off, if they're like I'm renting, I'm like
Depends how
lawsuit,
injured that you are.
right? Then I would pretend I'm more injured, like I can't walk. This is going to cost you a lot. But if they say they're selling a home,
That's right.
I'd probably ask on the ground. I would be like,
Realtor?
sorry,
Are you working
are you?
with a realtor?
Do you have a house to sell? And if they're like, yeah, it's a detached. I feel okay.
So very easy
Right?
to see who on the team will do anything
I'm about bringing
to do the
in
business.
the business for the team.
The rest of us, I
Yeah.
think it's
Hey,
about
he's getting a dinger.
relationship, right?
I'm getting a dinger.
Everything's
Yeah.
fair game after
getting
you
a
ding
dinger.
that bell twice, right?
Is it twice?
It beats-
Is it twice?
Beats
It's like
me.
it's.
I don't
I
know.
feel like if you're close to the person, one ding is sufficient.
Okay, all right.
It's sufficient.
Unless
Anywho,
you're- unless you're deaf.
unless
but-
you're deaf.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to kind of talk about is like our team. So how do we separate ourselves from other people? So we talked about we're diverse,
Oh, we're diverse.
right?
Male, female.
But I feel like okay. So how do we stand out now? The market, like there's been so many new agents coming to the market the last couple of years, right? Because and I'm not nothing against new agents, but I feel like the last couple of years, it was quite easy to get a sale, right? So if you get a listing, it's going to sell, right? You could do minimal effort. If you list something, it would have sold within a week, multiple offers. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're a great agent because they haven't been through the slower times. So I feel like us, especially Wayne and I, and you guys, we've been through the times. We've all been through the times that you have a listing like 3 or 4 months, and we're coming to that now with some of our product, right? That you have a listing for 3 or 4 months, so you kind of have to be patient, and that's more the norm than this like 1 week of sale or 2 week of sale. So I think for us, like what kind of sets us apart is one, we've been through those cycles, but the other thing is we're always there for showings, right? Because I feel like, and I'm not dissing other agents, don't send me hate mail, but like this lockbox stuff that we see in the Fraser Valley. So it's like if I'm coming to like a showing in Surrey or Fraser Valley, and I don't know the area, and my client's asking me all this stuff, it makes more sense that the realtor that sells in the area is present to talk about the schools, to talk about the area, it's be much easier to sell the product, right? And it's just safer too, right? So I think one thing for us that kind of sets us apart is the customer service. Like we're always available, right? We do group chats with our clients, people messaging us at 11, 12 a.m., which is fine. I feel like
that's Wayne and I, 11, 12 a.m. That's
I go to bed at 9:30 because this doesn't just happen. As you know, I need my 12 to 13 hours of sleep. But
and you have that much white hair.
That's right. Okay. So if I didn't, then it would be far worse. But I think right. Like for I was thinking, looking at these other teams and like what separates us. That's the customer service aspect. Like we're always available. We're always one of us is on hand to do the showings, and I think that is what translates to part of our success, right? Is the communication and being there, showing the product, knowing the product, right? I think that makes a big difference, especially now that it's slower, right? So I think a lot of the newer agents will probably drop out because it's not easy. It's not easy in a regular market. So
I think it's also that we, as we said, like we are a team and we are sticking as a team, because I see a lot of new agents that just go in a team because they don't know how to do it or how to start, and then when they get a little bit of success, they will get out of the team, and that's not happening with us, no? Like together.
Well, I think the team structure too, like most new agents, and you guys can comment from when you were new, like when you join a team, you're doing it because you're getting leads, you're getting the support and stuff. But most agents then will leave a team within a year or so because they know that they can do it on their own. And you guys can do it on your own. But I think we all work well together and we kind of support each other. So it's more than just that number. Like some of the teams that have 20, 30 people, it's really for them doesn't make sense to give up 50% of their commission if they can do it by themselves. Where I think our dynamic, we're supporting each other, not just for the sales, but for all around. So we're different vibe in that sense. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think one other thing that we
is this free water? You already opened yours.
You're paying for it.
We'll settle the bill after.
I thought it was like a prop, and like you use this for every now.
Okay, so I think one other thing that we do, I'm not saying better than most teams, but we do is we offer our advice when it's asked, and we basically listen when it's needed.
Right.
So it's a big thing to always listen to your clients, and I think we try to encourage that as much as possible. But there's a lot of times that they do need guidance, and some clients have their heads in the clouds, and we kind of have to bring them back down and curb expectations, right? We don't always try to upsell when there's no need to, right? So.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Relationship, Veronica said, as a team, I believe we have a relationship which we then transcend to our clients.
Right.
It's about relationships, building relationships. I mean, how many times have we seen where someone's had a relationship with someone for 2 years before there's even a transaction that happens? And so I think people do find that to be relevant and to be a useful thing because we're sharing and giving them information during that period and helping them along the way.
Yeah. Well, I think too, because we all have, also we all own, multiple properties or have owned multiple properties. So from the investment standpoint, and then from the regular, end user principal residence, we've all been in those situations like, we've owned pre-sales or we own investment properties, we have our houses and stuff. So we've all been through those different scenarios too. So when people ask like, hey, is this good? Or have you gone through that? We've done that, and we've owned so many properties or owned properties now that we've been through those processes.
Yeah, we can totally relate.
We can relate to it, right? Because
Yeah.
it is nerve-wracking. Like, I get it. And we have a lot of clients now that I know are worried because the rates are so high, and it's like, is it the right decision? Do I pull the trigger? And, you know, having been through those ones, I get that kind of fear about it. But I think with real estate, and I've never been wrong, knock on wood, saying this, the last 15 years, if you hold something in Vancouver for 5 years, typically you're going to do well, right? That doesn't mean it's always going to be the case, but I've always said that to clients. I said, you know, give it 3 to 5 years. You should do well, despite the rates, despite what may be happening. People still want to live here. You know, immigration is increasing here. You know, the rates will go back down. And really, people want to live here, right? I mean, most of us that have traveled around Canada or other places, you come home to Vancouver and you kind of realize, you know, this is home. This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
So that's not going to change. So all the other stuff, really, at the end of the day, there's not enough inventory or product for the amount of people that are coming here. So it'll go up long term. I think people just have to
Be patient.
be patient. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that leads us or segues us into what I guess where we expect the market's going in the next few months. I mean, obviously we've taken a downward turn. Late last year, sales were pretty much at a 10-year low for the past half or the last half of the back end of the year of 2022. But moving forward right now in the past couple of months, especially February, we've been seeing a spike in activity recently, right? Where do you guys think that market's going from here?
You go first.
I go,
Yeah.
I go first. So what I think is that
Ryan's been talking a lot.
I've been talking a lot.
I think in the past back half of the year, there's been a lot of buyers. And like Ryan said, our immigration numbers are still high. Job market in Canada in general is still pretty solid. I think that there's still a lot of pent-up demand. Buyers that needed to buy before and couldn't afford it still need to buy today, right? And now that the prices have eased a little bit, and they haven't dropped much, only about 10% on average, right? But it's enough for people to try to get their feet wet again and start looking at the very least and start shopping. I mean, the rates are holding a little bit more steady. So what we're seeing is like we're not expecting any more huge jumps for the next few months. And in fact, a lot of people are saying that we're going to start easing rates by the end of the year and towards early next year. So with that hope in play, I guess a lot of buyers are starting to just buy now or considering to buy now and coming back to the market. But sellers have not adjusted yet is my thoughts. And that's why we're facing a super shortage in inventory right now. So sellers expectations are still relatively high. I mean, you can't really blame them. If their neighbor sold for $1.5 million in the market peak last year, you're asking them to sell for 1.3 or 1.2 now, they're kind of telling you to pound sand, right? But ultimately, those that need to sell will sell, but they're going to adjust to a new normal, and there's going to be more listings that come out. And when the new listings come out, we'll probably see a more balanced market. So I don't see this surge of activity lasting forever. I don't see us going back to where we were last year, where we're just basically seeing on a month-to-month scale more sales, more price increases, more everything.
Right.
We're just probably going to see a more balanced market throughout the rest of 2023. That's my thoughts on this. So
Right. So where do you suggest for investors right now or clients that are looking to, you know, for cash flow or places to invest?
That's actually a good question as well, because rental rates are at all-time high. That's also what's sustaining this market as well, right? I mean, a one-bedroom in Brentwood, the amazing Brentwood's like $2,750 right now for 500 square feet, right?
Yeah,
No
that's
AC
crazy.
too. So I mean, like that's relatively crazy. What that even in today's rates, you're supporting close to $500,000 in your mortgage with that alone. Right. So, I mean, investors are buying now, are considering buy now, and they're looking into it, and they're expecting the rates to come down. And when the rates do come down, their zero cash flow becomes a net positive. So, you know, even if they're experiencing a slight negative cash flow right now, once the rates turn around, they're in the money. So I think that a lot of investors are taking that into consideration right now.
Nice. What about you guys? What do you think? Like, what are you saying to clients that are like, I'm looking for an investment, I'm looking for cash flow? Like, where would you suggest to buy?
I don't have any clients looking for investment right now, but
What? This podcast is not free. Get some clients.
no,
think what we
I've got
have seen,
like a lot of first time. I've got
Yeah.
people who are going to be first time home buyers again, or from within Canada.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of people who are just sort of going, okay, we're watching the interest rates. That's their thing.
Right. Yeah.
When is a good time to buy? Should I just wait through for the summer? Because with the kids going to school. So for me, I'm seeing people that are like, Last year it was crazy and they were out of the market. Now they're thinking, okay, this year I want to get back in the market, but I want to wait a little bit just to see what's going to
Sure.
happen with the interest
Yeah.
rates. And then we'll put our feet in. So I think there's that possibility. I mean, you're seeing now that, of course, the lineups aren't there anymore. When
Right.
you would go to an open house and you're like, it's a mile long.
Yeah.
And you're seeing rather than someone putting in an offer at 100 or 150,000 over, sometimes it's even like a slap in the face when you're on the selling side
Yeah.
when they're going in 100,000 under.
That's right.
Right? And you're like, seriously? Do you want my clients to kill me? Or
Yeah.
what's that situation? So
Right.
I think it's more of a norm. In my neighborhood where typically you would see a house go up and within 2 weeks,
Yeah.
like it would be gone. It's a good catchment area, school catchment area. So people are wanting to move there. There's this one house right now that's been sitting there for 3 months. That's very abnormal. That's not normal in my area that I live. So I think from a buyer's perspective, they've got some options.
Yeah.
Right? So
More
they don't
options
feel
than
that
less.
rush.
There's
More
yeah,
options
there's
than
not-
last
it's-
year.
yeah.
Yes.
Less
Last-
frustration too, because I think they were very frustrated. No, they have clients that offering so many
Totally.
properties, and they were so frustrated because they lost.
They
I
pretty much
remember
took
writing 7 offers for one client
Yeah.
a year and a half ago. 7.
They've
Yeah.
pretty much taken 6 months off, right? Most buyers that
Right.
were really active
Right.
before.
But I think, for example, because we have different clients than you guys.
Yeah.
So I think my clients are more prepared right now. Like the ones that are really looking are like really there, you know.
Sorry,
and the
that,
good
that,
thing
that,
is
that,
that
not interrupt you. That does sound more sexy when you're saying that. Did I stop? Did I stop? So go on.
anyway.
Then the other one. Michael, I can't do it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Not that kind of clients. I don't know what you're talking
That
about.
There you
it's
go.
probably that she picks
Right,
up
right.
those clients
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that,
Got
you
it,
know.
I got it.
We all better learn how to speak
I got it.
Spanish.
Sorry, I cut you off. That was rude, but
I
go
forgot
ahead.
what I was saying.
Right. It was good. It was good.
Your clients are more ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
more ready.
They are ready to go. The nice thing is that now, for example, some of the places that we're looking, they can go for list price or a little below list price, which in other times we will have to go like Diana
Yeah.
said, like super high, you know. So it's easier for them if you're ready right now, although there are less properties to show, but it's easier for them if they find something they like to get it.
Agree. Yeah, you're not competing. Well, there's multiple offers again, but
Yeah.
for the most part, you're not competing with 7
Yeah,
people
yeah.
or 6 people, and you should have time to do your due
Yeah,
diligence.
due diligence.
Right.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I think in that way, it's actually a better time to buy because, yeah, you're not dealing with that stress. And some of these people last year and the year before, I don't want to say they overpaid, but when I said, 3 to 5 years,
I'll say
you're
they
5 years.
There's a lot of cases where people
So, and then
Overpaid.
it's like that fear of missing out, right? So
Yes.
it's like people are throwing out numbers that didn't make sense. Because all of a sudden, that condo didn't go up $100,000 because 6 other people wanted it.
Yeah.
So those people would have to wait probably that 5-year time frame as opposed to maybe someone 3 years,
Yeah.
And we're back to seeing inspections again.
Yeah.
which is
As
good.
Which is
Which
good.
is
Yeah.
good. You should always do an
Right.
inspection on a property, and that's what freaked us out last year too. I mean, luckily for a condo, most of the bigger stuff is like common area, but we had so many that didn't have the opportunity to really do an inspection, and they came back and there was some repair stuff, which we were able to handle. It wasn't crazy, but yeah, I mean, it's such a major investment. You need to do an inspection.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah, especially as a first-time home buyer, right? I mean, it's very advisable to go through the process and go through all the emotions of buying a new home for the first time without having to feel rushed and just putting in a cash offer, having your deposit check ready.
Yeah.
Basically slapping that sold sign on the next day is beneficial for the seller, but for buyers, not being afforded that opportunity to do due diligence is really detrimental to their experience as well. So,
Right.
yeah. But speaking of first-time home buyers, I mean, what advice would you have for our next generation who's looking to purchase and need to secure a down payment? How would you advise them to save enough money to?
Be nicer to their parents.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I was about to say that's probably the number one option.
But it is.
right?
Yeah.
It is the bank of mom and dad, right? I think now it's so hard to save up the down payment, right?
But because they have another mind, like my kids are older than your kids, so I see where they spend the money.
Right.
So I think
Where do they
as a-
spend the money?
in stupid things like in a shampoo or in shoes or
Shampoo.
my son
Expensive shampoo.
What kind of shampoo do they use?
Expensive.
shampoo.
Not
And he
Walmart.
doesn't
Right.
even have like
Expensive.
long hair.
So when you go home, do you say the reason that you don't own a home is because you bought
Because
the shampoo?
they no,
Yeah.
but they I
But
think
they-
as a parent, you also, it's
Yeah.
not only giving them money. I think we have to educate the new generation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. The budgeting.
Well,
Budgeting, right? The
I
priorities
think,
and budgeting.
Priorities, I think, for a lot of younger people today. We have kids the same age range, and thank God, mine's hopefully seen things differently. But priorities, it's about.
That's a slight diss on Vero's kids.
No, that's not what I meant. That's not what
I love you, kids.
And I love yours, and I love yours. But priorities not for a lot of young people today.
Right.
It's about the designer brands of
Yeah.
not just clothing.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
said, shampoo, clothing, cars,
Going
It's
Like,
the keeping up with the Joneses.
sort of thing.
Why is it
right?
Joneses? Why can't it be like
You're
Smiths?
the
What
white
about
person
their-
on the team.
But keeping up with the Joneses, it is that
Yeah,
to a
it's-
degree, right?
I mean, traveling, which is okay,
Yeah.
but for maybe our age group or my age group, there were certain things that you put in
Yeah.
place first.
Right.
Right.
We would have a foundation. Then we would be like, okay, let's travel, let's buy designer. Or at my age, I really don't need a name brand car.
Yeah.
Really, been there, done that, sort of. Right? So a lot of young people are going through that
Yeah.
stage. So yes, it becomes the bank of mom
I
and
agree.
dad.
It is a lot to do with how much you make, but I think it's even more to do what you spend it on, right? So it's
Yeah.
not what you make, it's what you spend, right? So you have to find the opportunities to cut your costs when you can. And budgeting is very important to the next
And the
generation.
education part of it, right?
Yes.
Like you,
Yes.
they don't teach that in school, like budgeting. Not even just for home ownership, but for owning, like renting something, or saving money for retirement, or starting your investments young. Like that should be a part of the education. And I think like the keeping up with the Joneses or Smiths or whatever it is, that social media aspect,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
It's harder than when we were younger because if someone had like the new Jordans or something, you would want it. But now everything is in your face. And I think the older you get, I personally I care less about like clothes and stuff like that. Like to me, I'm just like I'll buy something on Amazon if I need it, but I don't care if so and so has like $300 jeans or whatever. I don't care, right?
Yeah.
I have nobody to impress like in my mind at this point, but I could see for the like even my daughter who's 11, like there's certain brands of clothing that she wants and stuff now, and it's like you see it on TikTok or you see it on social media, and that's not really those people are happy, right? Because the people that are posting all that stuff on social media probably aren't, right? The people that are showcasing all that stuff,
Right.
they probably aren't because you're trying to show it to other people, right? So you're never gonna get, kind of going off topic, but you're never gonna get happy just from keep on buying stuff, right? So I think we have to kind of sit down like with our kids and next generation and say like, look, Vancouver is expensive. That's not going to change. So the chances of you getting a house, even if you're like a heart surgeon, it's not looking great, right? So how do we get you there? Like, and then we can help you to a certain degree, but how do we get you there so that you're budgeting to get there?
Right.
And I think a lot of people from our clients, they're expecting this larger handout. Right, from parents. They're expecting their parents have done well. They're going to get a house from their parents, or they're going to get this large retirement, which may not be the case, right? I think a lot of people realize their parents are going to live their lives, and you may not be left with what you what you think, right?
Yeah.
So you can't rely on that either. So I think it's a difficult time, and I think people are okay with less space now than they were like when I started 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wanted like a detached house or a townhome. Now people are like, well, if it's got
They don't want to be
if I
covered.
got Scott shopping downstairs or if it's got access to SkyTrain and stuff, they'll take a much
gym.
smaller space, right? And a lot of it is like the lock and go because they're going to travel and stuff, as long as it's something decent to come home to. So the mindset has changed too. And really, the chances of the next generation being in a detached house, for the most part, like Vancouver proper, it's not looking great, right?
Well, Vancouver proper, the real Vancouver dream is no longer a white picket fence with your own detached
No.
property.
No.
You're probably
No.
looking at a duplex or a condo. That's probably the dream and the end goal
Yeah.
for most buyers now, right?
But
Especially
also-
that's starting up.
Yeah,
so.
the new generation also has an advantage that I think they are able and open to buy something with somebody else. Like,
Yeah.
Instead of like in my mind, I will never buy a house with a friend.
Right.
And now they have that. Open.
I mean, that comes up. It's still not something that's common, to.
Sometimes.
You see it sometimes, especially for investments.
I think we're starting to see it a little bit more.
I mean, you
We'll
got
definitely
to be cautious with that stuff. I own a property with a friend and a past client on the island, and we have a partnership agreement, so it's pretty straightforward as far as like this situation happens or that situation happens. But so it is more common, but you have to be obviously cautious.
I think you're seeing it more with we're taking from different groups that have moved into Vancouver, I'm seeing it a little bit more now with parents and their children.
Yeah.
That are starting to what used to be looked at as there's no way I'm gonna live. I just want to get out of my parents' house. I'm seeing families now who are putting
both
their
of
money together.
Wayne's mom is in his basement.
Yeah.
Sweet. That sounds weird. But my mother-in-law's in my suite. So I mean, even for the kids babysitting aspect and stuff like that, it's good. Pros and cons.
Accepted.
And you had a couple clients like last year that were sisters that bought a place together too, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, they
so
did. But
they're consolidating households to get a bigger place or something. Like
and I think before we used to see it more in certain ethnic groups where it was just something.
Right.
Where new immigrants or immigrants would come into the country, they would do that. So one person would get a place, and then the next one, and so on. But I think we're seeing it more as a general. You're starting to see that happen.
When we moved here, when I moved here, like several years after, I bought a house with my sister. That was our first house.
There you go.
And then we live with our
There
4
you go.
kids there. So we was party every night.
So that's.
And then you met
Latin
your.
community is tight.
And then I met
And then
my
you met your prince.
My prince.
That's
And
his.
took me
That's
out.
his actual name. Is Prince. We didn't make that up, but
The prince.
My prince.
his Prince.
Yeah.
No, it's good. So what are my other comments? I don't know. That's that's kind of an overview, right? I think personally, so for my stuff for the market, I feel like we're probably still going to be down this year overall, but the previous 2 years were so busy that we're really kind of just coming off of that high.
Yeah.
And then like as far as places to buy, we're in Langley right now, right? Yeah, so Langley has grown so much. They have another film studios coming out here. I just got some clients in a brand new pre-sale, and there's a company called High Street that does like insurance claims. So someone has like a flood or something in their home and they need to be out, or for corporate rentals or people out of town. They will get, after High Street's fees, $7,200 a month for their 4-bedroom townhome. So the rents are really good, and even market rents I'm noticing for like a 4-bedroom is close to $4,000. Right. And then obviously the SkyTrain's coming out here, so I feel like Langley and the Fraser Valley went up the most kind of the last cycle, and then it dropped a lot because a lot of people are like, okay, well I moved this far out and I have to maybe go back downtown for work. But I think when the SkyTrain comes out here, for example, it's going to go up quicker than Metro Vancouver again. So, yeah.
And Langley's a nice area. Like
Langley's
it's a
nice. Like
area.
I think before, obviously, it was underdeveloped, but there's so much out here now. It feels like America to me, though. Is that bad?
Why is that?
Like there's just a lot of like little strip malls and.
Well, the
like,
high rises are coming too.
The high rises are coming though.
Yeah.
Like-
There's pocket communities.
Yeah.
Here, right? But then I think they're building up higher, and it's becoming more dense here as well.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
just-
going to become more like Surrey.
Yeah, I just think the where Willowbrook is like very industrial. That's why people
Yeah.
it's like, oh, Langley.
Well, it's like-
I don't know. But
There's so much has happened though. Like every time I come out here, I mean, I was out here a couple days ago even. There's so much new development. So I think obviously they're catering to young families. There's all these like little strip. I guess I mean by states, like not that there's rampant shootings, but I mean like there's strip malls every between all these new homes and stuff. That state's vibe.
I wonder if he
That
wears a
state's-
bulletproof vest after
state's-
his
I
clothes
hope
every
so.
day, because he's
I
always
hope
talking
so.
about shootings. We live in
He
Canada.
doesn't
That's right.
spend money in his jeans.
We
But the
live
state's
in
vibe.
Canada.
Do you know what I mean? Like I
Thank
was
God.
in Palm Springs a couple weeks ago, and it kind of felt like Langley with palm trees because you have like all those little strip malls in between, like the housing and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Not like making stuff up. Like there's an Olive Garden, and then there's
yeah,
like a strip mall with like whatever, Chuck E. Cheese. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm
You
just
don't
saying
get that big city feel.
you don't get the
No,
big city
no,
feel. Yeah,
no,
you don't.
no.
Which
But
is also good for some buyers, though, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what they're looking
That's
for,
what
raise a
they're-
family.
yeah.
But the density is coming out to Langley
Yeah.
as well.
totally,
So
totally.
You'll see more of. I think you'll see more of Surrey and Langley in the upcoming years. That's my thoughts on Langley, which is good because it's going to become more convenient. Like you said,
Yeah.
it's getting developed, and there's basically a lot more infrastructure, community centers. A lot of the stuff is newer out here, right?
I
And
know.
so-
It is. Well, for what you can get too, like these guys are 4-bedroom, brand new townhome. It's like $850,000. So Vancouver, what you might have one window,
Yeah.
no roof, right? Like you can
4
get anything.
bedrooms.
You can't get
Three
it.
bedrooms.
You can't get it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So really, your lifestyle, if you could work from home, that would make sense to get something
Yeah.
nice and new rather than Vancouver. I'm wondering if my roof's gonna collapse or what else is gonna happen. So, and I love Vancouver because I think it's close to downtown, close to Burnaby, close to the airport, which is good. But I think like I would honestly consider out here if I was like retired because you can get way more and it is accessible to everything, restaurants, everything else. So.
Well, that's typically what you see with growth, right? A couple of years ago, Surrey was like that. Everybody
Right.
who couldn't afford Vancouver,
Yeah.
Went to
even
Surrey.
though before they might have gone, oh, sorry, a lot of people were moving to Surrey, and you saw growth and development there, and now it's Langley.
Yeah.
And there are people who are going, I mean, Abbotsford,
Yeah.
as an example,
Maple
has
Ridge,
grown
yeah,
so
Ridge.
much.
All the
Maple
outskirts,
Ridge,
all the outskirts,
So you'll continuously, we will see that as things change. When I moved here 20 years ago.
Was that a 2 in that?
20 years
2
ago.
years ago.
And we moved to Surrey. People were like, why would you move to Surrey?
Exactly.
Right?
Which is
That
where
was
Ryan's
it,
still at, right? Which is
right?
Wait, no. Okay.
but regardless,
Well, moving along.
Surrey has changed. I like Surrey. I like Surrey now, for the record. But even East Van, like I'm in East Van, like my mom, like we grew up in North Vancouver. Not that there's anything special there, but she still thinks that East Van is like dangerous. She's like, oh, can do you go out at nighttime? I'm like, no. As soon as the sun goes down, I don't leave for fear of immediate crime. Like that, the home prices are like $3 million. Like it's different. It's not like the same thing when obviously there was issues like when we were younger.
Yeah.
East Van was not like a safe area, but now with the home prices, it's like younger families like ourselves or a lot of older people. I haven't really witnessed any of that stuff or felt unsafe. So, but that's stigma and Surrey, like
We haven't found any.
like Surrey,
don't
I
have
like
anything.
Surrey for investment. We sold a lot out there, and I think it's obviously the fastest growing city.
Yeah.
But it has that stigma still, but because of stuff before, right? Because of that factor before, like the crime and stuff. But it's changed so much.
the car breaking capital of the world.
Is it the car breaking capital?
It was before. I don't know if it still is.
Who won it?
was.
Who
When
is it like an awards every year?
I guess.
Like how do you?
You put your car there and find out.
Okay, yeah, let's check that. But how do you know like the world?
I think
That's
behind-
high.
Behind the superstore.
That's
there is
high.
the-
Well, if our car is here after this for
Well, this is
Langley,
Langley.
then we know that.
We're good now.
Yeah.
Like maybe
We gotta get it.
Yuppie steals our
We're
car,
getting really
and
sidetracked
then we
here.
then we
Yeah.
see it at like the Olive Garden or whatever.
Yeah.
No,
No,
we
I
guess
did- we're
But
living in
sometimes people
Surrey,
make
yeah.
comments when I'm amazed that there are people who would make comments who never really go to Surrey.
Exactly,
Like I know
yeah.
this lady, and she's been to my house once, right?
Right.
Oh, she lives in Burnaby. I don't go to Surrey. But so much has happened there,
Yeah.
and so many changes.
So I think if you haven't
we live in
seen it,
Surrey,
yeah.
we're
Yeah.
like minutes away from each other.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were going to purchase, we were originally in a condo, and when we were going to purchase our house in Surrey, my cousin's always lived in Coquitlam, and she's like, "You should move to Coquitlam." Well,
Right.
we knew Surrey. Everything we did was
Yeah.
local, and when she came to the house the first time, she was like, "Oh, there are places like this in
Right?
Surrey."
Yeah.
Well,
I
it's like,
still feel that way.
honestly, I was
you know,
I was
I go to Vancouver
amazed
and I
at
go,
your
"Ew,
house.
there are places like
I
this
was
in
actually
Vancouver."
both your houses. I was amazed, and even Dee said when we went out there, like your house at Christmas and then Diana's before. I said to her, like, look what we could get out here. Like, sell our house, have money left in the bank, and get one of these ones. Because our house is like 1970 something. It's partially renovated, but you come to your houses and it's all done up.
So for
Right?
that, for
Like,
clients,
for
I
that,
would
it's
say,
larger too. Much larger.
Yeah, like they're
I would say
huge
be
houses,
open
yeah.
to clients.
Yeah.
Be open.
Yeah.
Like take the opportunity to learn about different areas. Go
Yeah.
and see places in different areas before you make a final decision. Just
Right.
by
Totally.
based on the stigma that people may have.
Just on that note, though, if the traffic ever improved here, I mean, it'd make things a lot easier for a lot of
sure.
Traffic is a factor. Well, we made it out here pretty quick today, but if you're driving in rush hour and you got to go, downtown or wherever your workplace is, I think that's obviously the biggest issue, right? So,
But I think a big thing about that, it's about cities.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Vancouver, the metropolitan Vancouver is a growing city.
Totally.
We are growing so quickly.
Yeah.
I was just in Toronto, and I'm telling you,
yeah.
8 lanes going one way.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on the roads between 6 in the morning and 9 at night. Seriously.
Yeah.
So, and if you've been to other large
Yeah.
cities, it's when I say it's the same, definitely we could do a lot here
Yeah.
in the Lower
Improve a
Mainland
lot
to,
of-
to
yeah.
improve on moving people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it comes with the territory of being in a city.
I think with my clients being more immigrants, I think sometimes you have to teach them because most of the Mexicans that come here, they're like, oh, I want to go to North Vancouver because that's the touristic place.
Are
you
there a
know?
lot of Mexicans in North Vancouver?
Yeah.
Really?
And
'Cause I grew
then-
up there. There wasn't. There was.
But you have to, like you
Demographics
were saying,
change.
you have to open their mind and to
Yeah.
let them go and search something else, because sometimes they only know this. It's not a stigma that they don't know about. It's that they really don't know about the
Yes.
cities.
Yeah.
And sometimes in other countries they are used to more traffic than Vancouver, believe it or not.
Well, it's tough too if you're coming from another country then to Vancouver. It's so large too. So it's like, okay, where can I afford? And then for that price, what's the best area? and then it's like doing all that research and stuff too, right? It's difficult. So you know, education about the area, and that's why it's good. Like our team. Back to diversity, like we know the area so well, right? Like I lived in Tri-Cities for years. I live in Vancouver now. You guys are the Fraser Valley. Like we know all the areas fairly well, and we know the product really well. So I think that's what also helps, right? We can say, well, this building is good, or this area is good, or that area is bad, and you know. So I think that's part of the longevity that helps us. So I think we're coming up to our time. Is that it?
Yeah.
So we've covered stuff. What are the key topics? We're diverse.
Yes.
Yeah.
We customer service focused.
We're on the ball.
We're on the ball.
Yes.
We're on the ball. So we're gonna try to do this, I think, monthly. This is our first one. So forgive us if there's
Forgive him.
forgive me if there's some edits.
Forgive him at least once a day.
If there's-
We're okay, just forgive
At
him.
least.
If there's some edits, forgive us. But we'll hopefully do this next month. So we are we in Austin next month?
Oh, yeah. What are our show times, right? Yeah.
Do we don't have
No,
we don't have any followers.
No, we're not taking.
Dallas on the 15th. No, that's it. We have like 5 viewers.
We're taking our show on the road, right? Yeah.
I thought-
Yeah.
I thought that's what my note said. That's it.
Well, that's what it says because you printed on scrap paper.
Oh, very awkward. All right, we'll sign off then until next time. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
Thank you.